Moving on to the much anticipated series premiere of HBO's House of the Dragon, the first of reported many Game of Thrones spinoffs, premiered on this last Sunday. Let me pull up some. Whoa. Who plays Mike Tyson in that Hulu thing? This is just completely sidebar, obviously.
I don't know.
Sometimes I get distracted by the shiny shit that I see.
Russell Hornsby.
Who the hell's that?
No.
Regardless. Okay. The House of the Dragon, HBO, and we have starring Patty Considine, Emma D'Arcy, Matt Smith, Reese Ilfins, he's been around. That's who played Dr. Connors, the lizard in Spider-Man, among other things. Steve Toussaint, Eve Best, and many others. The first episode gives us the series gives us the story of House Targaryen set 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones. And in the first episode, we see the struggle of two brothers, one King Viserys Targaryen and his brother Prince Daemon Targaryen, sort of maneuvering around each other for the Iron Throne, such as it is. The much anticipated series based on George R.R. Martin's fan fiction of his own fiction. Come at me. I don't even care anymore. Greg, I was not expecting to really sink my teeth into this, but I found myself really enjoying it. The first episode,
okay,
really enjoying it, and I'll get to that. But just what were some of your base opinions on episode 1?
And I understand, like, I watched Game of Thrones, and for the most of Game of Thrones, I enjoyed it.
Can I hop in and just clarify?
Yeah.
You watched it like binge.
Yeah. Right. I did. We did all the whole series in, like, I think less than a month or something. Yeah. I mean, we like went through it because we wanted to like be on time to see the final episode with everybody else.
So, but I caught on I watched season 1 as season 2 was happening and kind of caught on from there. So yeah.
Read different ways.
Read the 5 books.
Yeah, I have not read the books. I have a different relationship with this. But like I said, I did enjoy most of this show, Game of Thrones. And the thing that kind of just stuck with me on this, and maybe I was just like a little slappy from working, getting up early, but the tone of it being just so like hyper serious. And like Game of Thrones was like very serious. Don't get me wrong, but it felt like there was at least something to it about like we kind of know this is serious, and like we're being serious, but there's a little underline of like obviously this is just like fantasy things like this. But in this, it's so serious to me, like almost to a fault, where it like kind of made me feel cringy on how like overall like dark and depressing everything was, and it just. And that's, for a lot of people, that's probably fine. Like, this is getting really good reviews. And I'm not even saying I like necessarily disliked it at all. I will walk away saying it, for me, it almost felt like a little corny. I will say that, a little corny. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was just pretty much, what I was expecting was this is just going to be Game of Thrones, but, you know, different storyline, but everything else is the same, which for the most part it kind of is. But when it's very serious, it's to me where people are like, literally like, I went to the Shakespeare School of Acting and I have to be the most serious thing all the time. And it was just sometimes a little too much for me. And there was not, it felt like everyone was almost like I don't want to say robotic, but almost so up a level that to me there was just everyone was overacting to where there was nothing coming down on it. And yet I still was intrigued. Like I really liked the ending of this episode. I thought the ending really like set up like, oh, here we go. I mean,
Right.
not just because she gets the throne, but also just like the drama build up, like the way the show is actually paced and everything. Fine, perfect. It was an hour, 10 minutes or something. Maybe not even.
Well,
that long,
it was under an hour runtime, and then they gave
okay.
like 10 minutes of behind the scenes shit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, it wasn't super long, and it did move along, but there were just parts to me that felt. Yeah, that's what she said. But there were parts to me that just didn't work, and maybe it was just my own way of looking at it. But I'm not down on this at all. I just feel like I hope that level of like we have to be. It's because they're living up to something that is pretty well regarded overall.
Yeah.
And to try to live up to that is going to be very hard. But also, it just made me laugh. There were times where things were so serious that I started just laughing because I'm like, this is so insane right now, how intense this is. And like, we're episode 1 in.
Yeah.
We're 1 in, you know, and that just kind of made me laugh. So maybe that's me. Maybe there's just me being a little slap happy, but, you know, didn't dislike the episode. Just thought there were parts where just a little much.
Like I said, and I'm to get into this. I expected leading up to the last season of Game of Thrones, I was like, okay, I'm ready to be done with this. There was too big of a gap in between the penultimate season and the final season, and the end was so rushed. And I just read a thing last week that George Martin had said that they should have had 10 to 13 seasons of Game of Thrones, and I probably would have. I just would have been out at that point.
Right.
I think that the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones are some of the best television of all time. And I think that season 3 of Game of Thrones stands with some of the best seasons of any television, bar none. And I think that a lot of people come for the violence and they come for the sex.
Sure.
But what I think, I mean, it's an HBO show, right? So, but what I felt like, especially not just watching the show, but reading the books as well, the thing that made to me Game of Thrones so interesting was the political intrigue involved with, especially in the first season where you had the Starks and the Lannisters and the Baratheons all trying to outmaneuver each other. And then in the second season, we start to get into, well, who has the claim to the throne now that Robert's dead? And, you know, there are these people and it's, you know, backstabbing and undermining and all these things. And I felt like that is what this show got right from the beginning. And like you were saying, it's super serious, but those scenes around the king's council table with like the, you know, the master, the king's hand and the master of coin and all this, like those are the scenes that I'm on the edge of my seat for, because I feel like that's where the drama really is the political intrigue. Like, and that's what I think for me, where Game of Thrones fell off, when it became less about the political intrigue and more about like these fantastic beasts, these dire wolves, these dragons, the Night King, the giants, all of this different stuff. And I felt like that's where Game of Thrones kind of lost me a little bit. Whereas the beginning was so fascinating because of all that political intrigue and what have you. And I felt like that was really, really, really on display in the first episode of House of Dragons. And it really sucked me in a way that I wasn't expecting to. And it also didn't hurt that there was a great maiming scene where people were getting their heads cut off, their hands cut off, their dick cut off. As soon as they started cutting off people's hands because they were thieves, and somebody in the background yells "rapers," I was like, well, I know where this is going.
Here we go. Yeah.
But yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised. I'm very interested to see where this goes. I will say that the gentleman behind you, Matt Smith, is the actor. And he's playing the king's brother, Prince Daemon Targaryen. That man is not attractive with that bleached blonde platinum hair. He looks like borderline grotesque.
Freaks me out. That's
Yeah.
why I actually chose the background. So
well, and I think I said when we did the trailer reaction that he looks like Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters 2 a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so Game of Thrones spinoff, House of the Dragon, episode 1. Gonna be facing some stiff competition here in about a week when Amazon Prime's Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, Ring of Power, whatever it's called, drops. It's going to be interesting because I can't remember a time where there were two shows in the same like offshoot genre, not something like a courtroom drama or like a cop show or whatever. So like intrinsically tied together based on, you know, what types of property and story they're telling, and also just the timing of the episodes or the timing of the seasons, because it's just, you know what I mean? Game of Thrones and Tolkien are like the two biggest names in fantasy right now. So
hardcore fans too, just like
definitely hardcore fans on both sides. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think what'll end up happening is the Wheel of Time will be better than both of them. But we'll see.
Yeah,
one man's opinion. But yeah, sure. I'm excited that I'm excited about this.
And I'm not any less excited. It was just, it kind of threw me for a little bit. Maybe I was, like I said, you never know. It was just, I only watched it once. I watched it right after school. So we'll see. But you know, I'm still in on it. Like you said, I like the political drama. I do actually like that. It was just, there were parts to me that were just so over the top, but I'm not down on it.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. Interesting stuff.